Hi folks, this is great. Looks like we've got a few of you joined in. We're a couple of minutes early, so I'm just going to pause for a couple of moments and let as many people join this meeting as possible, and then we can get ourselves started. Thanks, Max, for putting your name on there. That's great. If anybody else could put their names in the question and answer box, that'd be brilliant, because then I know that who's attended, because we should have about 50 people joining this meeting. So that would be great. Thank you. If you know of anybody that should be in on this meeting that that might not be, if you could text your mate, say to get on this meeting, they need to go to the Show My Homework group, and the link is there. That would be great, because I'd like people to attend if possible. So it looks like we've got 29 people at the moment. I'm just going to wait another couple of minutes, and then we'll make a start. So thanks, Max. Thanks, Jasper. Thanks, Rebecca Smith, Luke Jensen. Thanks, Owen. Thanks, May. Thanks, Megan. Thanks, Faith. Scarlett. Thanks, Nicole and Charlie. And Sienna and Grace. And Alexander Armstrong. Alex. The other one. Iris. Katie Merriweather, thank you. And Finley Holt. Alice Hunter, Julie Alexandra. Lola. Esme and Eve. Eleanor. Really good turnout, well done, Lewis. Just while we're waiting for one or two more, next week, same time, we'll do a meeting again. These meetings, to start, we'll have them every week, this time, this day. But it might be that once people have managed to make a start on their award, that they don't need to come to these meetings. So we'll see how people go. Thanks, Layla. Okay, Katie McCoy's and well, thank you for letting me know. That's really helpful. Thanks, Ilky. And Caitlin and Martha. Finley Earls. So Ollie's struggling. Is he okay? Not to worry. He might get on at some point, which would be great. What I'll probably do is I'll probably turn my PowerPoint that I'm about to deliver to you, I'll probably turn it into a kind of YouTube video at some point so that your parents can watch it as well, and so that you can watch it again if there's anything that you miss as we go through it. So let's make a start, I think. Thanks, Francis and Dexter. Great to see you're signing on too. Excellent. Right, let's make a start. So I'm assuming you can all see the PowerPoint that is in front of you saying DofE. The things we're going to go through are the timescales, how to go about choosing activities, the 3 different sections that you're going to need to work on, and paperwork. We're not going to discuss the expedition element because there's no point at the moment. At the moment, obviously, we can't do the expedition, and so we won't do that or the training. But what I want us to do is I want us to get on with the other sections. So timescales. Your award consists of 4 sections: volunteering, skills, physical, and expedition. Many of you may have already got ideas of what you're going to do for your different sections, but the purpose of this session is to answer any questions you might have, and give you loads and loads of ideas, and reassure you that even though we have gone into a national lockdown, you can carry on working towards your award over the next 6 weeks. You're not going to be in school till after February half term. That's what we've been told last night. But you can work for the next 6 weeks towards your award. And this is actually a really good time to do it because you've got nothing going on. You'd be bored out your minds in the evening. So actually you can get on with activities. If you think that you can't do your activity because your activity is something that you were doing at school, or it's something that you were doing at a club outside of school, which is now closed down, it does not matter. You can still carry on doing another activity, and then you can add that to your award. So to explain the timescales, you have to do some sort of volunteering for 3 months. You've got to do a skills activity for 3 months, a physical activity for 3 months, and then you have to do an extra 3 months on one of those sections. Whichever one you probably enjoy the most, you can do an extra 3 months. Now, by 3 months, I mean 1 hour per week. Now, if, and this is a question a lot of people ask, can I do something for 20 minutes on 3 days in the week? Yes, you can. That's not a problem. Whatever you do needs to add up to 1 hour per week. So if you wanted to do an activity for 2 hours, but do it every 2 weeks for 3 months, I'm okay with that. That's fine. The fact is, you've got to be doing something over 3 months, and you need to be spending at least an hour per week roughly on it. Obviously, you might have some weeks where you spend a bit longer on it, and you might have some weeks where you spend slightly less time on it. That's okay, so long as the whole activity spans 3 months and you have done the time. That's really what counts. Now, there are some modifications for you guys because of the time that we're in with this COVID. You can change your section activity more than once. So let's just say you have decided that for your physical, you want to do football with an outside club. And let's say right now that club has shut down because you can't do it because of COVID. Well, in the meantime, you could, for instance, decide to do walking or biking in and around your area. Or if you've got a basketball hoop in the garden, you could decide to shoot hoops. Or if you are a dancer or a gymnast, you could decide to do practice in the garden at home or in your bedroom or whatever. That's fine. You can change your activity for this 6 weeks whilst COVID is around and whilst we are in a state of national lockdown. Okay, in the past, participants couldn't do that. They had to choose one thing to do, and they had to do that one thing for 3 months. But because of this pandemic, you can chop and change all the time. So you could do a couple of weeks in the garden doing basketball shooting, then you could change again and you could decide to do running or walking in the neighbourhood and building it up to a run to try and do a 5K, something like that. So you can keep changing your activity to do the time, is what I'm saying. Okay. When normal life returns, when you're back to school normally and clubs are open normally, then it might be that you go back to activities that you would choose to do that are different to doing things in your bedroom or in your garden at home. So you can change. Okay. Each section needs an assessor. That's somebody that basically says that you did it. Yeah. So you do your volunteering for 3 months and then somebody says, yep, they did it. So an assessor can be anybody that's interested in helping you to complete your award. They have to have some knowledge about it, but they don't need to be an expert. So for instance, if you know somebody, for instance, that can play guitar, they might not have all the exams and all the qualifications. They might not be a guitar teacher, but they can play the guitar. Well, if they help teach you how to play the guitar, then they could be your assessor. So they don't have to be a pro. They don't have to be a teacher, just somebody that knows something about something. Similarly, if you wanted to do baking at home and you wanted to bake cakes, and 1 week you're going to do cupcakes, another week you're going to bake bread, another week you're going to do chocolate cakes, another week you're going to do something else. If you know somebody, you've got a family friend that is really into their baking and they make wonderful cakes, they can be your assessor. They don't need to be somebody that owns a cake shop or somebody that's got a qualification in cake making. Just somebody that knows how to bake. That's all you need. They've just got to have an interest. They've got to know a little bit about it, and they've got to be able to help you remotely. That might be a telephone call every now and again, or an email, or maybe a Skype, or you know, some sort of online thing. That's fine. The only thing we're saying at the moment is your assessor cannot be a family member. It can't be your mum or dad, because otherwise they could just say that you did it when you didn't. So it has to be somebody that's not a family member, and they've got to be somebody that's over the age of 16. So family friends are great. You could use me as your assessor. You could use the other 2 helpers for DofE, which are Mr. Middleton and Mr. Tromans, or you could approach any of the teachers at the school. So for instance, if you're going to do something to do with music outside of school, you could always drop Miss Morishuk an email and ask her if she'd be your assessor. You don't need to see her. She just needs to be somebody that you can email every now and again, okay, to be your assessor. And at the end, they will say, yes, you did the task. So it could be anybody, really. It could even be a youth leader. If you belong to any kind of youth clubs, scouts, cadets, etc., it can be anybody. OK, so that's it about the assessor. Incidentally, if anybody has questions, please do write them in the question and answer box. And then when I've finished my slideshow, I will go back to them and I will answer them all. Choosing activities. When you choose an activity, if you haven't already got an idea, it's got to be something that you're going to find interesting, because you're obviously doing it for quite a long time. You can use extracurricular clubs that you attend. Obviously, at the moment, they're all not working, are they? They're not running. But when they are back up and running, you can then swap back and you can do those to add to your award. There is also a really good list on the internet where you can explore options. And I've put the link there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put this slideshow on Show My Homework, so that you can open it and you can have a look at that link. It's a really good link, and I'm going to show you a couple of things from it in just a moment. I suggest when you're choosing activities that you try and get out and about, especially for the physical section, because you can still do your bit of exercise each day. Even in the national lockdown, you're allowed to leave your home to exercise once a day. So I suggest that you try and do that, because it will be nicer than just staying at home, especially when you're working from home. It's nice to get out. I also think you should discuss activities with your parents, get their advice, get their ideas, and show them this slideshow as well. OK, so the sections. The physical section can be anything you want, but you must be able to show that you're getting better over time. You've got to be doing something that raises your heart rate. And you've got to be able to measure that you are getting better each time. And by that, I mean, let's say you decided that you wanted to do a 5K. It might be that on your first outing out of the house, you walk a few kilometres. Then the next time you go out, you walk 4 kilometres. Then the next time you go out, you walk 5 kilometres. Then the next time you go out, you start to jog. And then the next time you go out, you start to jog a little bit further, or maybe you jog and walk. And eventually, by the end of the 3 months, you can jog the whole 5K. That's what I mean by something that can be measured. I want you to be able to see that you're getting better and better. Same with if you were doing basketball shooting in the garden. It might be that you start quite close to the hoop, and then over time you get further and further back. Or you start with stationary shots, and then you start to do shots where you run up to the hoop and do a running basket. So you've got to be able to show that you're getting better at something. There is also no point in you doing something physical that's really easy. It's got to be a challenge. So if you can already run 5k, that would be a really bad goal to go out and say that you want to run 5k by the end of 3 months. If you can already do it now, your challenge needs to be something bigger. Maybe it might be running half a marathon by the time 3 months is out. So you've got to, you know, your own level of fitness, and I want to see you doing something that makes you raise your heart rate and get better at it. Okay, it's also got to be safe. So think about the fact that we're in winter time. It gets dark by about 4:30 at the moment. So you need to be thinking about when you do your activities to be able to do them safely if you are going out and about in the neighbourhood. Some really nice ideas are in green just there. There are loads of fitness apps that you can download onto your phone, and you can do yoga sessions and you can do workouts using those kind of apps. You can do them in your bedroom, can't you? You can go on YouTube and find YouTube workouts, like Joe Witts was doing loads of stuff, wasn't he, over the first lockdown? I don't know whether he still is. I'm sure he is. There's lots of workout DVDs. Your parents might even own them. You could do those for fitness. Like I've said about walking, running, biking, you can do all of that kind of stuff. Because you are allowed to meet one other person outside to do exercise, you could even meet a friend to do that outdoors, so long as you keep a 2-metre safe distance. You could do workouts in your garden, and I've said things like that, Couch to 5k. The website gives loads of other ideas, look. So this is just a screenshot of the Duke of Edinburgh website on things that you can do, and you can see there are lots of links. So there are things like yoga that you can do, there's NHS fitness sessions that you can do, and they've given a few ideas on here. You can take part in Wii Fit games if you've got a Wii Fit. All of those kind of things count. You could even do yourself some fitness challenges, like it says there at the bottom, 100 press-up challenge. Cool, that sounds difficult. I'm not sure I can manage 2 these days. You could do the plank challenge or the step challenge. Things that you've done in your own PE lessons, you can do them yourself at home for an hour a week. If you want to break that up into 3 20-minute sessions, that's fine. So come up with some idea of what you want to do during lockdown. The volunteering section, I'm just going to pause this a minute. I just want to go back and see if anybody's asked any questions. So I'm just going to swap screens. One moment, please. Okay, I'm just looking to see if there are any questions. Right, there are questions, so I'm going to answer them now. Can you do 3 months worth of hours? I don't really know what that question is. You have to do the activity for 3 months, but you have to do an hour per week for 3 months, if that makes sense. I'm not sure if that's answered your question. That came from an anonymous person, so I'm not sure who's asked it, but it has to be 1 hour per week for 3 months for each section as well. Lola, do you need to provide evidence of your assessor saying you've done it? I'm going to talk in a minute about logging sheets. So when you do something, you can write down that you've done it, and every few weeks you can get in touch with your assessor, and you could tell them, you could verbally tell them what you've done, or you could write in an email what you've done. Or if you're doing something at home, your parents could take a photo of you on your mobile phone, and you can send them a picture of you doing it. So you can provide them with some evidence, can't you, just to show that you're doing it. Layla, do you need an assessor for all 3 activities or just for skill? Yes, all 3 activities, Layla. Every single activity needs an assessor. Somebody else is thinking of doing cooking and baking. The food tech teacher who could be your assessor, I can't remember their name. If you email Mr. Mears is in charge of that faculty, so he might be able to give you the food tech name. Is it, somebody else on here might know the name. If you do, type it in. But yes, the food tech teacher would be a great idea. I think I know her first name, but I don't know her surname, so I'm not sure. But yes, get in touch with her, email her and ask her if she'd mind assessing you for your Duke of Edinburgh. And copy me into the email as well, and then I can have a word with her. Charlie, I think I've answered that now. Yes, you need an assessor for each section. Ewan, I'm thinking about learning a programming language, but I don't know who could be my assessor. Pre-recorded tutorial, I can be your assessor, Ewan. That's not a problem. So all you need to do is send me evidence that you're doing it. So it might be that you send me evidence of the YouTube or the program that you're using. or a photo of you doing it, or a video, something like that. That's fine. Lily, how could you show improvement on dance? Well, I suppose if you're doing it for 3 months, you should be getting stronger and better. You can't necessarily show it to me, but you should know yourself whether you're getting better. If you start by doing a dance and you're doing it badly, and then at the end of 3 months you've absolutely nailed it, then that shows improvement, doesn't it? Yes, Ewan, having images of the different parts of the tutorial, great. Thank you, Lola. The food tech teacher is Miss Davies, whoever was asking for that, or Mrs. Williams. Thank you. Yeah, loads of people have said that now. That's great. Yeah, Miss Davies or Mrs. Williams. Can you have the same assessor for all sections? Well, I suppose I think it depends. It depends on what your activities are. If, for instance, for instance you were doing art as your skill and you had Miss Diarins as your assessor, that makes sense. If you were doing at home, you were volunteering by helping your younger brother or sister with their art homework, then it might also make sense for it to still be Miss Diarins. If, however, you're going out and you're doing running in the neighbourhood, if Miss Diarins doesn't really know much about that, then it might be better to choose somebody else. So you've got to exercise a little bit of common sense. I want your assessor to be somebody that you can contact through email or something like that, and I want them to know a little bit about what it is you're doing. So you need to just exercise a bit of common sense on that. Do we need to get the assessor to agree before you start? Yes, you should really. You should approach somebody and say, I'm just about to do DofE. I want to do baking. I know that you know a little bit about baking. Would you mind being my assessor? And the important thing to tell them is there is no work for them. They don't need to really do anything. It's just, I mean, the only work is that you might want to go to them for a question, or you might need to ask their advice on something, or have a little conversation with them or get some tips off them. So if you're doing baking, you might want to ring them up and say, how long do I put this in the oven for, and get a bit of guidance from them. That's what the assessor is meant to be there for, is giving you guidance. If it was Miss Diarins, you might send her for art, you might send her a picture and you might just say, I don't suppose you could just give me a couple of sentences on how I can improve on it. That's what assessors are there for. They're to show that you're doing the work, and they're to give you a bit of guidance and a bit of support as you go. So yes, you do really need to ask them before you do the activities. Okay, right, back to the PowerPoint. So volunteering. Volunteering is something where you give up your time and you don't get paid. You can't do it for a business that makes money. Now, you can volunteer, currently you can volunteer for family members, and I've given some examples. You could mentor or coach younger siblings. If you've got brothers and sisters that are younger than you, let's just say you've got a young 5-year-old and they're learning to read, you could do reading with them, couldn't you, for an hour a week? And then, maybe if they're doing some other kind of homework, you could help them with that. During this lockdown, a lot of parents are going absolutely crazy because they've got to help their primary school children with work, and they're trying to work from home at the same time, and it's very difficult. Maybe you could be a bit more helpful. Maybe you could help those younger siblings with their lockdown work, for instance. That can count as volunteering. It's got to be more than just babysitting, although to be honest, there wouldn't be any babysitting right now anyway because nobody's going out. And it can't just be helping out with your usual chores. If you usually help with the washing up or tidying around the house, you can't count that. It's got to be something different. It's got to be something new where you are helping. So there's some ideas here: mentoring younger siblings and helping them with schoolwork or homeworks, coaching a sibling or another family member to learn a new skill. So maybe if you're learning a new skill, maybe you can then teach them how to learn the same new skill. Here's a lovely idea. At school, we've got loads of ukuleles in the music department. Now, I reckon if you ask nicely, Miss Morishuk might lend you one that you could maybe come and collect and take home and have in lockdown. Maybe you could learn that as a skill using YouTube clips. And then you could maybe teach a sibling how to play it as well. Something like that can count. Organising sports sessions or arts and crafts sessions for somebody that you live with. So you could organise a little lesson, and then you could ask them to do it, to keep them interested or from not getting bored, especially if it's a younger sibling. You could, if you do things like scouts or brownies or guides or anything like that, you could plan sessions, even though then those clubs aren't running at the moment. You could still plan sessions for them that then the helpers could then deliver when everything's back up and running. So you can still plan stuff. It might be that you could approach one of your teachers by email and ask them if there's anything that they'd like you to work on over lockdown for the department. You know, beautiful posters for display boards, for instance, or really nice revision sheets for things. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of ideas for you. So you could perhaps do something like that. Okay, you could even do things like volunteering, doing people's gardens in the neighbourhood that perhaps can't, you know, they're struggling to do it. Or you could do their shopping. People that are isolating, self-isolating because they're elderly, you could maybe do their shopping for them. Or if they've got a dog, you could go and do the dog walking for them. Something like that. Okay. Are there any questions with the volunteering section? I'm going to just have a look at the questions that are coming in now. Basketball at the park, who could be my assessor? So I suppose you could ask one of the PE staff, and you could ask them to help set you some challenges, because basketball on the park for an hour a week might become very boring if you don't have challenges. So you could always ask one of the PE staff to be your like a little bit of a remote coach, and they can give you some ideas on things that they want you to practice on, and then you can just fill out a logging sheet whenever you did it. It could be me, but I don't know too much about basketball, so it'd be better to ask one of your other teachers. You want to do knitting? The only person I know can knit is my nana. Right, your nana can help you. Your nana can be the person that teaches you how to knit, and another family friend can inspect your work, and they can be your assessor to say that you did it, but maybe your nana can be the person that actually teaches you. I'd be happy for that. Likewise, if your nana's the person that teaches you how to knit, I will happily sign it off as your assessor. So you can put my name down for that, and I would be your assessor. I'm okay with that. But send me through photos of things that you've knitted, or little videos of you learning with your nana. That would be great. Lola, can I help my sister read and have her teacher be my assessor? Yes, you can do that. Great idea. And as she gets better at reading, you might want to then help her with other things like maybe mathematics or English, or, you know, as she gets better at one thing, move on to something else. Could I make a meal once a week for my family? Layla, yes, you could. Great idea. And even better, one week you could do Thai, the next week you could do Indian, the next week you could do Mexican, then you could do Italian. You know, experiment with the different kinds of foods. That would be great. Or one week you could do starters, and then another week you could do puddings. So you can be really creative there. Child minding business. So for volunteering, could I help her? Oh, that's a difficult one, Iris. Iris, I'm going to make a note to myself to ask advice on that one, because it's a business which is money making. So normally we'd say no. However, because of the COVID times, we might say yes. So I need to check with somebody. I'll come back to you on that. I'll drop you an email, or I'll drop you a note on Show My Homework. Dexter, how can we get assessors to contact me? They don't need to contact me. Assessors only need to be in touch with you. And then at the end of the section, you will give them something to sign off to say that you did it, and then you give that to me. So I don't need to have any communication with your assessors at all. Finley, 11-year-old sister that plays cricket. Can I help her practice that since you also play? Yes, that would be your volunteering. Great, Finley. For skills, could you creative writing? Absolutely, that's a brilliant idea. Love it. What else have we got? Bernie, something assessor for trail mountain biking. Who can be your assessor for trail mountain biking? Well, who are you going to be doing it with? If you're going to be doing it on your own, then I guess I could. But if you're going to be doing it with somebody else, maybe they could if they're not a family member. If they are a family member and they're teaching you, that's great. I'll just have to be your assessor. Can your assessor be the same person who helps you with the volunteering? Yes. What else have I got? Helping people with mental health, can that count as volunteering? Yes, it can. And I think that's it for the questions so far. I'll answer more as they come through. So I think we've got some ideas there on volunteering, loads of stuff that you can be getting on with there. The skills section cannot be PE based. Some people have said to me, why can't I do football? Because I need to do lots of football skills like kick-ups and this, that and the other. It doesn't count. Football is physical. Skills has to be something removed from physical activity. Now, in the past, as an example, because there can be a bit of crossover, in the past we've had people do horse riding. Now, if you're actually horse riding and you're riding the horse and it's trotting or galloping or whatever, then that's a physical activity. However, if you are then learning all about the care of animals and mucking out the stables and feeding the animals and grooming them and tending to their hooves and all that kind of stuff, that's not physical, that's skills, that's learning about handling animals. So that can count as a skill, and then the actual horse riding can count as physical. So there is a bit of crossover sometimes with physical activities, and you can turn them into a skill if you're clever about how you do it. Just remember, physical, you're raising your heart rate. Skills, you're not raising your heart rate, but you can be learning about something. Okay, and again, there are hundreds of ideas on the website, so click on that link and I'll attach this PowerPoint on Show My Homework. Other ideas, you can learn first aid for free on that website. So the link you've got above takes you to lots of different sites where you can do things for free. So you could learn first aid from home using your computer. That would be great. You could take part in an art award. You could do online music lessons using YouTube. I've got a friend who's just bought herself a ukulele. That's why I mentioned it earlier. And she is learning ukulele by watching YouTube clips. It's a great idea. There are free sign language courses. Cooking, baking, even you've probably heard of Quizlet. I think many teachers have used that. You can even go on sites like Quizlet and do quizzes and learn about different things. That's fine. That can count as skills whilst we're in this lockdown period. Just to show you the website, that's an example of all the things that you can do on the website. So if you go on there, it says here, there's loads of ideas of how you can do your skills section at home. So you've got hyperlinks to things like the St John's Ambulance. You can click on that and there's a whole course that you can do online with a booklet that you can fill out and everything. You've got the Arts Award qualification there. A lot of these things on here are totally free, but some aren't. Some you have to pay. So it's up to you. If your parents are happy to pay for you to do some of these things, then you can do ones that you pay for. But there are free options as well. You do not have to pay for any of these things if you can't or you don't want to. Just to show you some more, look, somebody said about creative writing earlier. You see, there's a creative writing course just there that you can do. And all of these things come with guidance and come with booklets and things that you can work through. Sign language, there's one there, look, and it's all free. I think that one, when I clicked on that before, it was a free course. Look right down at the bottom, you can do a free online money management course with the Open University. So there's lots of ideas and these are all on that website. So that's why I suggest you go on that link and have a good look. OK, I'm just going to come back and see what more questions have come up. If I was to bake for my skill, would I be able to ask my auntie to assess me as she bakes a lot? Yes, I think that would be. She's not even. She is a family member. Is she a family member that's might be a little bit difficult? Does your auntie have a friend that she bakes or has baked with? Or I mean, it would be great if your auntie was who was teaching you, who was guiding you. But if it comes to it, then I can always be your assessor. What I'd like is somebody to be able to guide and help you. And that really is an assessor. So I'm going to say yes, but when it comes to signing it off, I might need to do it. Luke. OK, your brother and Ollie Dean are who you do trails with. Don't know anyone else. OK, well, in that case, I'll sign it off, Luke. I just think you need to get some evidence that you're doing it. If you've got if your parents have got any friends or you've got any family friends that can vouch that you're doing it, I'm happy to sign it off. If you can get some videos or some photos of you on your bike, then that'd be great. In fact, every time you go out to do your hours ride, if you get one of your mates to take a photo of you, that would be really great because that's evidence that you've done it. Can I do kayaking? Yes, absolutely. Oh, are you talking for physical or for skill? For physical, I'd say yes. For skill, possibly not. I think that would count really more as a physical thing for kayaking. Who would be your assessor for a fitness app? Could it be my own assessor if it tells you the dates I've done it? You can't be your own assessor. I can be your assessor for things like fitness apps. Or if you've got, like I say, a family friend that you can just ask, do you mind, you telling them what you're doing or something like that, that would be great. Family friend or a teacher, somebody that, can give you some advice or you can prove that you've done it, that would be great. Touch typing, yes, you can. Brilliant idea. Baking and cooking be combined into one. Yes, Owen, that's fine. Arts award dance count. Absolutely. Yes, it can. Can you learn how to do makeup and eyeshadow? I think there are some courses. It would be like a health and beauty course, that, wouldn't it? I think I need to say for that one that there has to be some sort of learning, some sort of course involved. You have to have somebody teaching you how to do that. Otherwise, it just becomes you standing in your bathroom plastering makeup all over your face and you're not really learning about it, you're just playing around. So it's got to be you learning the skill of how to do it. I guess there are probably YouTube clips that can teach you how to apply eyeshadow and mascara and stuff like that. You could use those. So I'm okay with you doing that, but it's how you do it. I want to know that you're actually learning, that you've got some kind of guidance or support, even if it's from YouTube clips. For sign language, who would assess you? Well, I suppose if you do one of those courses that's online, there might well be, you could probably put down the name of the organisation and then I will be your assessor. I can send in headcam clips. Absolutely brilliant, Luke. Yep, good idea. How can the assessor sign it off if you don't see them in person? They can do it electronically, Layla. So that's not a problem. When we get onto eDofE, which is the electronic website, I can show you how. If you cook feel for your family, volunteering. Could it be volunteering cooking for your family? Yes. Well, it depends. If you're doing it as a skill, you're doing it. Yes, I don't think that's a problem, actually. I don't think that's a problem at all. Because if you're going to do it for a skill as well, then you'll need to be doing it twice a week, won't you? An hour working on the skills of cooking and an hour actually making a meal and giving it to your family. Yes, remember, it has to add up to an hour. So if you're cooking something and it only takes 10 minutes, you might need to cook more than once a week, mightn't you? Animation as a skill. Yep, great idea. Training my puppy that we've just adopted. Yeah, I think there are, what do they call it? Like a kind of crufts thing where people do dog handling and animal training. Yeah, I don't think that's a problem. I think you need to do a bit of a search online for that, on how to train puppies to sit and roll over and all those kind of things. Mum's friends who's got a dog already. Yep, if they know how to do dog handling and they know how to train dogs, I can't see a problem with that. Can you also assess my cycling and orienteering with images from Strava? You, and that's a great idea. And anybody else that's listening here, for things like outdoor activities, if you download Strava, you can map your rides and you can map your walks and your routes. That's evidence, isn't it? It's electronic evidence that you did it. So that's a great idea, Ewan. Pleased you've said that. OK, I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint for the last thing then. So a bit of homework for you. I want you to decide now on what your 3 sections are going to be, what you're going to do for those 3 sections. So you've got to have an overall goal and an aim. So for instance, an aim is the overall intention, what you want to achieve from it. So for the fitness, for example, you might say, my aim is to get fitter and be able to run a 5K. That might be a really good challenge for some people. The goal is specific things that are going to help you achieve that aim. So for instance, for getting fitter and being able to run a 5K, you might start to run for longer, or you might start to run faster, or you might try to start to run without stopping. Those are things that will help you get to achieving that 5K. Okay, so that's that. And I want you to search around, see if you can think up a really good assessor for these sections. So their name. By contact details, it can just be an email, something like that, so that you know how to contact them, an email or phone number, so that you can contact them every few weeks to tell them what you've done and to get some pointers for how you can get better. Because the thing is 3 months is a long time. So when you've been working on something and you've absolutely nailed it, you then need to contact your assessor and you need to say, right, I've been doing that and I've done it, and now I want to get better and I want to do something, I want to progress. Like, for instance, when I said about misdirements, if you were doing art, it might be that you've been working for a couple of weeks on a really lovely picture using pen and ink. And then after you've done that, instead of doing another picture pen and ink, you might contact Miss Dirents and show her the picture and then say, can you set me a new challenge, either to make this better or to do something different, maybe working with pastels or working with acrylic paints, or I don't know. So that's when you contact your assessors. It's to give you a new challenge to kind of get better at something. Okay, so that's a bit of homework for you. Try and think about that for next week. It doesn't matter if next week you haven't absolutely decided on what you want to do, but I do want you to be thinking about it, and I'd like you to at least make sure you've got one of these things sorted. Ideally, it would be good to have all 3 sorted because we're now locked down for 6 weeks, so it's really good for you to be working on these now. You have been sent, I've bought your packs. I bought them just before Christmas. You've been sent an email to your school email address, and it will be from the Duke of Edinburgh charity. You need to click on the email and open it and read it. And there should be a link in there which will take you to your eDofE. It's called eDofE. E means electronic, so it's your electronic DofE account. And when you get into that account, it'll ask you for information to fill out, and everything will have a red star. Everything with a red star, sorry, you need to put something in the box. So it'll be your address, it might be your phone number, that kind of thing. And then they will send you a pack through the post and it will come through your letterbox. All right, that's your welcome pack. So in order to get that welcome pack, you have to log in to the Duke of Edinburgh website. So basically, you've got to log into your email and then you'll have a link that will take you to the Duke of Edinburgh website. If it asks you for a password, your password is your date of birth. I'm going to show you how to write it in a moment. This is what the Duke of Edinburgh website looks like. And at the top right, can you see that blue box that says eDofE login? That's generally how you will log in. You'll click on that. It'll ask you for your username, which you'll know because it's on your email that you've been sent, and it'll ask you for the password, which is your date of birth. You can then change your password, by the way. It will give you a prompt to do so. Your screen, when you log in, will look like this. I know that's very blurry. I do apologise. I couldn't make it any better. So on the left-hand side, you've got the drop-down menus, and you can see you've got the different sections. Volunteering is the red square. You've got the yellow square for physicals, blue square for skills. You don't need to worry about anything to do with the expedition. I do all of that, so don't worry about that section at all. And you need to click on the these little semicircles that look like a, I don't know, look like a speedometer, and fill in the details. It's called, the details that you'll be filling in will be called a program planner, and then you submit that to me. And then I look at them to decide whether or not your idea is okay. There is a clip here, a YouTube video. That YouTube video shows you how to fill it all out should you need it. All right, I'm not going to show it you now, but this slideshow is going to be on Show My Homework, so you can log into that and you can watch it. You can also download the app. If you've got a smartphone, you can download the DofE app, which looks like that purple square. And that's actually a really, really easy way of doing everything because you can do stuff on your phone, which is quite nice. So as I've said here, you've been sent an email from DofE. You need to open it, click on the link, which will get you started. Your password is your date of birth. Oh, and it's not showing you my example. If your birth date was the 31st of May 2007, you would write 310519. No, that's my date of birth. You would write 31052007. You'd just write the numbers out like that. Okay, 31st of the 5th, 2007, and you wouldn't have any slashes or spaces between it. You just write the 6 numbers, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 numbers. Sorry. Okay, so that's how you do your birth date. Right. So that's the end of our meeting. So you can go ahead, you can get started. The quicker you get started, the quicker you can be finished. If you have already started doing things, if you were doing stuff before we broke up for lockdown, since October, if you've been doing any activities since October, you can use those activities to go towards your reward. Okay, but obviously now we're in lockdown, you might need to change your activities for the next six weeks. Basically, that's what I'm saying. So get started on something new over these next 6 weeks. If you were learning a musical instrument before and you're still learning it now, that's great. It can all count. So that's brilliant. So we'll have another meeting next Tuesday, and I'm hoping we'll all be started by then, which will be wonderful. So that's pretty much the end. Any questions? Write them in the box now, because then I'll be signing off and you can all go. What have we got? Would learning to draw using videos? Yes, great idea for a skill. If I do mountain biking, can you be my assessor and my uncle help? Yes. Yep, your uncle can do all the mountain biking with you. They can guide you, they can teach you, and I can sign it off. Again, if there's any way of recording your trips or taking photos, Owen, that would be great. Can you do more than one skill? Ideally, we want you working on one skill. However, you can change activity and then start learning a new skill. But I would rather you stuck to one thing until you can't do it anymore, and then you switched skills to something else. So for instance, if you were doing art at home over lockdown because it was easy, and then when lockdown is finished and you're back at school, if you wanted to do something different, then that's fine. When can we start the activities? You can start them straight away. The quicker you start, the quicker your reward will be finished, because remember, we're doing all these for 3 months now, and then one of your sections will go on for 6 months. So if you get started today, that's great. We can backdate. I can backdate you to about October time. Beginning of October, I can backdate. So if you've been doing stuff throughout October, November, December, then you might even have completed already, mightn't you? So should I send you an email every week or around there for what I should do to improve? It depends, Ewan. What are you doing again? I can't remember. Oh, assessing your cycling. I can't really offer you too much guidance on your cycling and orienteering, because I'm not, although I have done a bit of cycling in the past, I must admit, I can't give you much guidance on things like orienteering. There might be somebody closer to you that can give you better guidance. I'm just happy to be your assessor, Ewan. So if your parents know more about it, they can guide you, they can help you, they can teach you, or family friends can, and then I can be your assessor if you need me to be at the end to sign it off. I can't get into my school email at the moment. Would you be able to let me know my username? Yes. Whoever's just written that, if you can hang on at the end of the meeting, I'll get you those details. Drawing be it through an app, is that still okay? Yes, I don't see why not. Again, just you know, take photos of the pieces of art and drawings that you produce. That'd be great. Jasper, do we log everything on the sheets they supply on the website? That would be a great idea, Jasper. There are what we call program planners and activity logging sheets on there. It would be great if you printed them off and you signed them every time you did an activity. What I will do after this meeting is I'm going to go online and I'm going to find those activity sheets and I'm going to put them on Show My Homework. I'll put this slideshow on Show My Homework as well. And I'll put anything else that I think will help you on Show My Homework. Okay, so you'll have the files there, then you can download them and print them off at home if you've got a printer. If you haven't, then you can just maybe try and fill them in electronically, or if you can't print them off or do them electronically, you could just hand draw them out, couldn't you? I don't really mind, to be honest. It's just a way of you keeping track of what you're doing. I think that's important, to keep track of what you're doing and when you're doing it, and it's really good for the assessor to see that you've kept a log. Okay. So I think we're about there, aren't we? So as you can see, I'm still here. It's now gone dark in this classroom and the lights have gone off. So I think we're all sorted. I can't see any more questions coming in. It was Max who needs the username. Max, just hold on, will you then, and I can find your username for you. Where do I find my username for the DofE app? So before you can use the app, you do need to go onto your school email. And you need to get the you need to open the link, and the link will give you your username. Okay, so you need to check. Everybody needs to go on their school email, and then you should see the link. If there isn't one there for you, can you email me, please? I am s.pollard@theacademycarlton.org. Okay, so you can email me if you've got any problems, and I'll try and get them sorted. Okay, so you need to be checking your school email quite a lot these days for Duke of Edinburgh stuff. Most of my communication to you will be through Satchel One, through the Show My Homework site as well. Anybody else got anything to say? I've been doing Taekwondo through October, November and December. Can that count as physical? Yes, you have completed your section. Well done. If your Taekwondo teacher can be your assessor, just ask them if they'll mind signing it off to say that you've been doing it. I'm sure that you've been working towards stuff. Next week, I'm going to show you what the assessor reports look like, and then you'll be able to get that person to fill it out. Okay. Any more questions? Okay, if you don't have questions, you may now go. If you do have questions, just stay online now, and I'm going to stay here for the next 5-10 minutes answering your questions. Okay, so cheerio, people, and see you next week, and good luck with all your activities. Right, it doesn't look like I've got many questions. Max, I'm going to get your details for you now. Just hold on. Okay, Max, I've got your login details. It's Maxwell Beardsmore, capital M and a capital B, no space between Maxwell and Beardsmore. That's your username. Dexter, map reading, if you're, I don't really know what you mean by map reading. It wouldn't be physical because it's not raising your heart rate. What I'd need to know is if you're going to do map reading, so it would be a skill, how are you going to make 30 hours worth of map reading? It seems a strange one. Like learning to map read, yes, you might spend a few hours on that, but 30 hours seems a little too much for that. So you need to think carefully about what your aim is. If you're then doing orienteering with it and you're using the maps, then perhaps a little bit more, that's perhaps better. So maybe that can then work as a skill. I think you need to think about that. Think about that and come back to me. You can always email me and then you can actually write in a bit more detail what it is you're thinking of doing for that as a skill, because otherwise 30 hours on just map reading. I need to make sure that you're actually improving over time, if that makes sense. Oh, Max Robinson. Oh, wait a minute. Need to go back. Max Robinson. Okay, Max, it's Max Robinson, 35. Capital M, capital R, no space between Max Robinson. Okay, Max Robinson, 35. Any other questions? Alex Armstrong, if you're still on, what if I've already done 3 months of physical? You've done it, you've finished it. So you'll just need to think about who can vouch for the fact that you've done it, and that will be your assessor. Make that your assessor. Great, Max, pleased that worked. Okay, it looks like there are no more questions coming in, so I'm going to sign off. Cheers, everybody. See you soon.